Namaskar. Good evening. I am Dr. Mukesh Pareek and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, English for Net JRF by Dr. Mukesh Pareek. In this video, I would like to talk about cultural studies. Those who are watching me first time, I would request them to kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, press the bell icon so that you can get the notifications whenever I upload a new video. I have been running an institute in Jaipur for last 20 years. I am 14 times net clear and 3 times JRF. I am double M.Phil and my PhD is on Margaret Lawrence, a Canadian writer. With this personal information, I would like to move towards the new section which has recently been added into the syllabus of NET and JRF, and that is cultural studies. I have come to know that many students have come across much trouble because in most of the universities of India, we don't have this as a subject, but there is no need to worry, dear friends, as in one or the other way, cultural studies has been part of the curricula of Indian universities wherever there is a department of English. Culture, I would like to discuss first of all that what can be the short and sweet definition of cultural studies. I can also devote a much time in defining what culture is itself. But before I move towards culture, I would like to ask my students that they should cram this definition or they should jot it down, they should write it so that they can understand what are the implications, what are the areas of studies which we study under this cultural studies. Cultural studies is an eclectic and diverse field of theoretically, politically and empirically engaged cultural analysis that concentrates upon the political dynamics of contemporary culture, its historical foundations, defining traits, conflicts and contingencies. This is the sweetest definition I found. I repeat this definition, then I will be talking about the different aspects of this cultural studies, like what are studied in cultural studies. Cultural studies is an eclectic and diverse field of theoretical. It means in cultural studies we try to understand, first of all, let me define the two words in the definition: eclectic and diverse. Eclectic means it is based on the studies from different subjects, interdisciplinary. Means from different areas. It talks about sociology, it talks about political science, it talks about the psychology, it talks about linguistics, it talks about even geography, everything. Cultural studies is a diverse topic. First thing, it's a field of theoretically and politically and empirically engaged cultural analysis. What does it mean? It means in cultural studies everything is studied, analyzed, and then some theory is made. So that is theoretically. Politically mean to say, first of all, the students of English literature and criticism and theory and criticism should understand that everything is politically charged. Politically charged mean to say that politics is involved in almost everything. What do I mean when I say that politics is involved? It is said in English that personal is political. Personal is political means, suppose I talk about my benefit of any sort, it means I am somewhere encroaching the rights of the others. It is impossible for me when I talk about my benefit, or suppose it seems at times like I'm talking about somebody else's benefit, then still some other benefit which are inherent in that kind of gesture of mine. I would like to explain it as I'm making this video against the backdrop of corona lockdown, and like you, I'm also quarantined in I'm in my house. And you see that different political parties are distributing ration bags, or say sometimes food to the needy people, but they are not doing it without mentioning that that food packet is coming from which party. So it means in the name of charity also they want some benefit in back. So this means politics. Politics means anything which is happening around this world is politics, or it is politically motivated. This we study. Even the way we look at things, the kind of language we use, the differentiation between gender, the differentiation between high and low, the structural concept of everything in society, everything is politically motivated. That is why in this definition we talk about, like, when we start studying cultural studies, studies that, suppose we let us take a very common example of marriage, that the marriage party comes from the bridegroom's house and it goes to bride's house. Now this is a particular language, or cultural language. Culture is also considered as a language. Now who is getting benefited out of that? The one who is in power, and patriarchy and is in power. So custom and the continuity and the propagation of a tradition or a culture or a part of say convention is also looked from the lens of cultural studies, and we try to understand that who is being benefited, if this is the case, and they try to alter it and try to see it. I would like to give you one more example. uh, uh, it also studies power, like where, because when I say politics, then somewhere I implicitly probably trying to say that the power dynamics and the power politics which are involved, that somebody who is doing anything, or anything which is a part of custom or culture around us, so that is motivated from power. It means it is not very easy to understand that cultural studies can take anything, even the abuses, even the paintings, even the movies, even food, what kind of food is served where, uh, uh, customs, books, even the way you serve food at times can also come into the category of cultural studies. So I have tried to define you that it is an eclectic and diverse field of theoretically, politically, and empirically engaged cultural analysis that concentrates upon the political dynamics, here I mean power dynamics, of contemporary culture. Contemporary culture means to say whatever is happening right now, the kind of movies we watch, what is called good, what is called bad, why something is called good, why we look something with high, with some prestige in our eyes, why something we look down upon. So everything in the contemporary culture, fashion, the kind of movies, some people say that this is bad movie, some people like some porn star is there, suppose. Then cultural studies will also study that what are the implications and why we consider that porn star bad, and so these things are involved in that. So contemporary culture, its historical foundation, and what are the causes which make that part, in terms of looking, some things have been considered high, some things have been considered low, so what are their foundations? So Marxism is involved in that. We always have Marxism for our help in the cultural studies, and the major cultural theorists were basically actually Marxists. Foundations, defining traits, what are their defining traits, how something is defined. I would also like to have a word with you regarding definition. Don't you think, like, when we define something, we put something in a category and we put a circle around it? So definition is also analyzed, studied, deconstructed, and defining traits, conflicts, and then when we define something, certain conflicts arise. In cultural studies, we try to study these conflicts and contingencies and kind of emergencies when arise out of this conflict. So cultural studies is a diverse topic, friends. Cultural studies, you will find there are so many diverse writers in video after video, get connected. I will be talking about very different writers. Like in the next video, I'll be talking about Richard Hoggart. Before that, I have made videos on Gramsci. I have made video on Raymond Williams. I have made video on Stuart Hall. I'm also planning to have a video on E.P. Thompson, another important writer in the field of cultural studies. I'm also going to make a video on John Fiske. He's a very important writer. I've made notes on all these writers, and in one video I'll be discussing all the different questions we have had in all the previous exams on cultural studies, which you don't understand whether this question is from cultural studies or not, but we teachers understand, like, how you can connect this particular one more thing, for your kind information, that cultural studies takes into consideration almost all the kind of criticism. For example, it takes into consideration structuralism, it takes into consideration post-structuralism, it takes into consideration feminism, it takes into consideration queer theory, it takes into consideration all the women's studies, it takes into consideration the latest theories on language. Okay, then I will be discussing in one video Ziauddin Sardar. We had a question last net on Ziauddin Sardar. He is a Pakistani origin, England-based writer. Then Jeffrey Norman or Jeff Lewis, I'm making a video on. Then I'm going to make a video on Paul Wills. Is again a very great writer. Then I'll be making a video on Frankfurt School. And I will be talking about the difference between the cultural studies, British cultural studies, and Frankfurt School. Then I'll also be discussing other writers. I'll make another video on Raymond Williams, and there are other. I'll make a video on Foucault also. I'll make a video on all the other common writers, which I consider are very, very important. If you study all these things, I think you need not to go anywhere to understand cultural studies. And I bet and I assure you that if you watch my videos, you will be always confident. You will be feeling confident that you are at the right place. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Wait for my next video.